mercy. And this one is real good. To forgive and be forgiven. And it's a really good lesson because when you deal with saved folk, especially Baptist folk, when you start talking about forgiveness, they never think about being the one who needs to be forgiven. I don't care when you sit down and approach read this, first thing you start thinking about is who needs to forgive you and you need to forgive them. No, that ain't what you think about. You think about who did you wrong. And because we always play the victim role, Jesus had to stick this in here so that they would understand that salvation and forgiveness and repentance, this is a lifestyle. This is not isolated events. That's what get us in trouble, is we isolate events and then we want it to seem like this is how it is. When you're walking with God, it's a lifestyle. It's how you live. It is not picking and choosing what you're going to do. It is changing your lifestyle from what you used to do out there, how you used to think, how you used to move, to now trying to live by kingdom principles. You got your book, which is your Bible. That's your instruction book. Right? Basic instructions before leaving earth. Remember that? B-I-B-L-E? Right? So you have your instruction book or your playbook when you don't know what to do. Because sometimes we get into situations where we'll use what we think or what mom and them taught us to move and how we deal with this lifestyle. And God says, no, it's principles and values. It's ways that you deal and it's ways that we move in the kingdom. See, we live inside of a democracy because we ambassadors here for Christ and we live in America. So we ambassadors, but we come from a kingdom. And so the world collides with us because our values and the way we operate is different than the way their values operate. First of all, they got a president. We don't have a president. We got a king. As a matter of fact, not only do we have a king, we have an eternal king. He's never going to be dethroned. Ain't no election. You don't vote God in. Matter of fact, you don't get to choose God. God chose you. The one good thing is in the president, he's just responsible for himself. And he can say whatever he wants to do. Because at the end of the day, if he do something, it's on him. Not on all of us. It's on him. But when it comes to the king, he's responsible for all the citizens. He's responsible for everything in the kingdom. He's responsible for what you wear. He's responsible for where you go. He's responsible for what you do. Because a kingship is a dictatorship. It's not a democracy. When you roll with God, this ain't Burger King. You can't have it your way. You got to do it God's way or it's not going to work. And the outpouring of that is you're going to have a sideline, defeated, depressed life. Because you're going to be trying to put God in your box instead of you trying to get in God's box. That's what this lesson is about. It's about forgiveness and being forgiveness. It's a value. It's a principle of the kingdom. You have to let people off the hook. You have to be able to let it go. Let it go. Because if you don't let it go, your process of sanctification stops where you can't let it go in. That's why you have differences in people's growth in life. Some folk is here, some folk here. It ain't based on God being favorites. It's based on wherever you decide you're going to not hear God, he got to stop the bus with you. So wherever you decide you're going to disobey God, say we're going to stop the bus right here. So in this chapter, we're in chapter 18. So I love the way they break it in chapters because it wasn't originally broken chapters. It was just a scroll. I like it broken chapters because I can figure out where we are in dispensation. So 18 is about 6 months out before he's getting ready to die. Now he knows this. They don't know it though. And so they're still being trained because those 3 years that they were with Christ, they were like school, they were college. And they were very fast learning because they had to be broken of the system thinking that they had. Everything they did moved on the system. And God was trying to tear the system out of them. He was trying to say, you're thinking on the system. You move on the system. Everything you do is a system. So in order for you to move with me, I got to tear the system down and I got to begin mentally. Everything they did was on the system, from the way they ate, from the way they clothed themselves, from the way they went to church, from the way they interacted. It was all systematic and all ruled up. And here comes Jesus saying, man, y'all ain't got to listen to that. This is all they know though. Y'all ain't got to listen to that. I'm going to show y'all how this is supposed to go. Well, how do you know? Because I've been there. I'm the son of God. I know how this goes. So watch what he tells them. Let's open this up. Now, the context of this is Jesus is teaching them parables. Because just like the disciples, just like the church, their favorite conversation was, well, you know, Jesus keeps talking about he getting ready to die. Well, since he's getting ready to die, we need to figure out who's going to take his spot. Because he keeps saying this finna happen. And so the conversation with the disciples from this point on is always who the greatest. Because they really got a problem with Peter. Because Peter is the illustration person. Peter went out on the water. Peter been the one running his mouth. So, of course, in Peter's mind, he's thinking, I know I'm going to be in charge. So the grumblings is always, who is the greatest? Who going to take Jesus' spot? And so that's how it opens up. Who's the greatest? And Jesus pulls out a child. Now, tradition says they at Peter's house. So some of the rabbinical writings say it was Peter's child that they pulled out. We don't know that. It ain't in the scripture, so we ain't going to believe that. But we know it was a child. He pulled a child out. Because in order to be with God, you've got to get rid of everything you know. You got to take on a childlike faith.
Yes, yes.
Because with children, you can tell children anything because they're innocent. They don't know.
That's right.
Man, my brother-in-law, give prime example, my brother-in-law is a big Black Panther fan. He really got my boys thinking they from Wakanda. They don't know no better because they kids.
That's right.
They innocent. But as they daddy, I gotta let them know, man, you ain't from Wakanda. You from Boma. So when the police pull you over, we talking about all this, and you from don't teach them that. I gotta make sure that they learn the right thing. And so this is what God's saying. In order when you first come to me, you gotta throw out all that stuff you thought was right. You gotta throw it all out the door. And you gotta come with me with childlike faith.
Yes.
Childlike innocence in order for you to learn something. Because see, you become grown when you start formulating opinions. It's around your 12th, 13th birthday when you actually start formulating opinions other than what your parents tell you. Start getting around other people, other cultures, and you start formulating your own what they call worldview about how life is. That's usually the age when kids start asking you about what you believe. And mama, how you say you saved and you always cussing? See, that's the age they start asking questions at, right? Because their world starts opening up. You got to start acting yourself a little better because their eyes are open. He's saying this is the same way you got to be with the kingdom. You've been in the system the whole time. Let me show you how this thing gonna work. And so they asking questions and he's telling them about being a childlike faith and how you got to move and how you got to operate in the kingdom. And then this starts out right here where Peter came to him.
Yeah.
Because Peter wanted to know.
Yeah.
Peter said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Now Peter thinking he doing something because the rabbinical teaching in the law. Because remember I'm telling you, everything is systemed up.
There you go.
So it's even a number of times that you're supposed to forgive people before you ain't got to forgive them no more. Peter knew that. And Peter being a Jew, he didn't ask about Gentiles or other folk. He wanted to know about his brothers. Because he didn't care about forgiving nobody else. Because if you weren't with us, we didn't forgive you anyway. So it's already messed up in his thinking. And he's coming to Jesus like he knows something. And we do the same thing. That's why you got to be careful about how you pray and how you talk to God. Because we get big and bad, get on our knees like God your homeboy or something.
Yeah.
Like he your husband or something. Like you want to just tell God what he need to do. And you got to be careful of those kind of prayers because they don't even leave the bedroom. You just wasted a whole lot of time. Because one thing God is never going to allow you to do is you to wave your finger in his face and tell him what he needs to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You want to get God on your bad side, stick your finger in your face and tell him what you need him to do. God know what he's doing.
That's right.
You don't know what you're doing. God knows what he's doing. Through what he allows, through what he don't allow, through what he allows to get on your nerve, everything that goes on in your life is a perfect symphony of what God needs to get done in your life.
Amen.
He said, so shall I forgive him 7 times? Jesus said unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but unto 77 times. Now that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me every time this joker do something to me,
That's right. That's right.
I got to let him off the hook?
That's right. There it goes.
Even if he keep doing the same thing over and over again, you know how we are. Fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you, and all that kind of stuff. And I can forgive you, but I don't fool with you. You know how we think.
That's right.
And God here is telling him not 3, not 7, 490 times.
That's right. That's right. Indeed.
So now a Jew would sit back and say, well, after 491.
Yeah.
But that's not what he means.
There you go.
He's teaching in parable. He's saying it's no limit.
No limit.
It's no limit. As long as for forgiveness, you're supposed to let it go.
Yes, sir.
And he says, now how do you base that? You base that on the fact of that you don't need me to forgive you. You need to forgive them because I forgave you. Well, I'm your example. And Jesus said, because I'm your example, then you have to forgive them as many times as they have enough sense to come to you and ask you.
Amen.
And we don't like that. Because we okay as long as it's our girlfriend. Because we've already decided with our friends, we're going to forgive them. Well, I know they owe me money. We put people in their boxes. But when it comes to, now Jesus ain't talking about this petty stuff. He's talking about absolutes here. He's talking about the person wronged you. Yeah. They know they wronged you. Yeah. You know they wronged you. This ain't about, well, I don't know if you was wrong. I don't know. No, this is a definite, this is the offense. Yeah. I've done you wrong. I know I've done you wrong. Amen. You got me dead to rights. And by physical law, you ain't even got to fool with me no more. This is what Jesus is talking about. They know they wrong. You know they wrong. And they coming to you. And they coming out of a sense of humility saying, hey, my bad. That's right. And Jesus is saying, it don't matter how many times they do it, how many times they come to you, you're supposed to let them go. Because listen to this, when you forgive somebody, it's not freeing the other person. It frees you.
There you go. That's it. That's
it gets you out of that mess, out of that rut. Now you can move past that. See, a lot of us, we get into strikes and we get into it with each other. It takes too long. Yeah. It takes too long. See, it be little stuff. Like my grandma used to say, you making a mountain out of a molehill. Because now, where something that you could have forgave them for, now it turned into something that's too big, and now it's following you around. And the problem is when it follows you around, it follows you everywhere. And then you're dealing with a person who got free rent in your head and they ain't even thinking about you. You done let them move in. You mad. You been carrying this all week. They done been on about that business. But you carrying it. Because it's a pride thing with you. And now this tension is building up, and it's building up, and it's building up. And then once you see them, you done blew up on them and they don't even know why.
That's right.
I mean, I bumped your car door with my car by accident. I told you I would pay for it. Bah! And you blow it. Husbands and wives do it all the time. Instead of settling little disputes at the table when he said, you shouldn't have talked about your mama. You shouldn't have said it. That's wrong. But he said, I'm sorry. But instead of y'all getting it together there, take it with you all day. And all night. And then when it's time to go to bed, this another time, she roll over and say, man, what you say about my mom? Y'all know I'm telling the truth. So look what he said. So let's go to the second part. So he says, so how many times should I forgive? It's unlimited. And that's something as Christians we're going to have to wrestle with. Because we pride, and we like to hold on to that, especially with folks we don't want to deal with no more. Whoa, I was glad you offended me, because I ain't talking to you no more. I ain't speaking to you no more. I've been waiting on you to offend me. See, that's a whole nother level of that. Y'all got to work on that one on y'all. Now look what he's saying, what heaven is like. He gives a story because you know how Jesus teaches. That's why I know he was Baptist. Because he's not going to tell you to give you a story and not give you the illustration to go with it. That's why he taught in parables. That's why his style was so effective, because he would give you a heavenly story to go along with what he just taught you to make sure you knew what he was saying. So here's the story. He says, therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king which would take account of his servants. So he gives them the overlay. This ain't no democracy. This ain't no city. This ain't what you used to. This is a kingdom. And when you got a kingdom, you got a certain kind of king. And the king, like I started out earlier in my intro, he's responsible for the service. So the king in this story is taking account of the servants. Remember what I told you last week? You wanted to find out about people's Christianity and what they believe? Check the money. Watch Jesus. He says, and when he begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which what? Owed him 10,000 talents. That ain't even a number. 10,000 talents, I ain't gonna measure 10,000, because talents are measured in pounds. That's right. So what he said is, by way of the story is, he owed something he can't pay. That's right, quite a bit. You gonna see yourself in here. We owed something we could not pay. He said 10,000 talents. But if I, before for as much as he had what? Not to pay. His Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife, and his children, and all that he had, and payment to be made. That's cruel there. Yeah. That's cruel. That's not a righteous king coming in here. This is a king saying, where my money at? Oh, you ain't got my money? That's like a Jamaican right here. That's like a Jamaican hitman. Where my money at? I don't know. Well, where your wife at?
Yeah.
Where your kids at? And get out. And there's nothing you can do because you took them people's stuff. You took their money. It's the same principle as when you getting credit cards.
Oh, yeah.
The only difference between a credit card company and a gangster is that a credit card company ain't gonna come in and kill you physically, but they gonna kill you financially. You ain't gonna be able to make a move if you get on them credit cards bad side. Because you can't take one credit card with a higher interest rate and pay off another credit card. That's fooling yourself. You're still in debt. You just took Rem Antoine's money to pay Remo, but you still owe Rem Bridget. So you can use one credit card to pay off debt. It never stops. Matter of fact, credit card debt is set up for you to never pay it off.
Yeah.
That's like the guy who loaned you money and you like, well, I'm gonna pay you today. Like, no, hold on to it. Don't keep it. But on top of that, he piled interest on top of interest on top of interest. So this man, he can't pay. And he gets himself in a situation where now, because he can't pay, he done put his family in jeopardy. He done put his wife in jeopardy. He done put his kids in jeopardy. This ain't me and Sunday, but it's right there in that text. He said payment got to be paid. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay it all. We all been there before. Let me get 2 weeks. I just need 2 weeks, and I'm going to get this light bill to you. Give me 2 weeks. My mortgage is a little behind, but I've been sick, and I'm trying to get it. As if it's like they care. Same thing we say in the church. Hallelujah, amen. Talking about Jesus paid it all. Let the light company come in here. They ain't going to care about how much you collect. Why? Because you signed the contract. And the contract say on X amount of day on the month, you going to have my money. And we get mad with folk. And I want to answer the phone. And do all that stuff. Now we put ourselves in a situation where we're lying and stuff. Because not caller ID, you ain't really got a lie. But you're lying. Because you see it say the phone company on there. You see the light company name on there, you know you ain't paid. I'm gonna ask it tomorrow. When you were here, you gonna be trying to find the phone in the door. And then they're gonna charge you another fee because they had to cut it off. And then charge you another fee because they had to come and cut it off. So now you done paid too like me. Oh, Lord have mercy. Jesus, I ain't gonna do him like that. He said, have patience with me. And look what it says. Then the Lord of that servant was moved with compassion and loosed him and forgave him the debt. So the king operated the way he's supposed to operate. I felt compassion for you. I understand. You got your wife, got your kids. You kind of tied up right now. Matter of fact, man, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. I'm going to let you go. Boy, do you know how that feels?
Good feeling.
Man, could you imagine if somebody called you on the phone and told you ain't got to pay your mortgage no more? Could you imagine going to the bank and you get your statement and you got $10 million in there and somebody would just put it in there for you? That's what we talking about here. Because that's what God did for you.
Yes, he did.
That's what he did for us. You had a debt you can't pay.
Right, amen.
And you don't really understand how serious it is because at the judgment, boy, you got to go.
Yeah.
Soul, body, and spirit. You gone. And Jesus said, I'm going to take care of it. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of it. Now watch this. Let's keep going. Let me finish it. Because this is the wicked part of it is the whole moral of the story.
Go ahead.
Which is what God is trying to communicate. Is that, how dare you?
Go ahead.
All right, watch it now. 28, it says, by the same servant went out. Now this is the one we just seen couldn't pay. Wife and family and everybody in trouble. On his knees begging and whining for somebody to let him loose. And then he got the nerve to turn around. That's why I preface this by saying, how dare you? Watch this. He found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence. Now he owed a number that don't even exist. This man owed like a half of a day's wages.
Change, good change.
And look what he said. He laid his hands on him.
Yeah.
He ain't pray for him, y'all. This ain't to lay your hands on him. That y'all thinking about. This the hood lay your hands on him. Man, lay his hands on him. This the real lay your hands on him. So he laid his hands on him. And he took him by the throat. And he said, pay me. He went straight down on him. And it's just the same guy that was just begging for his life. Begging for his wife. Begging for his kids. Now he out somewhere trying to act like he all that in the bag of chips. Trying to choke folk and stuff. Lord have mercy. And then look, and his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, have patience with me, I will pay it all. Sound like the same thing he said. And he would not, but he went and cast him into prison that he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very, very sorry, and they came and told unto the Lord all that was done. And see, that's what, when you see stuff going on ungodly, it ain't your job to go jumping in the way and getting all involved. Go tell the king. Go pray about it. Go tell daddy. Because if you get involved, you might get the hands laid on you. And somebody grab you back your throat asking you, what business is this of yours? Because they saw it, right? They saw the whole thing. They saw him get his situation, and they saw this. They saw everything going on. And let me just drop this in your bread basket. Sometimes God lets you see stuff just for FYI. Sometimes he just let you see stuff just for your information. He don't need you to do nothing about it. He don't need you to get involved. He just wants you to see. I want you to see what you're dealing with. I want you to see what you're around. I ain't asking you to make no moves, and if you got any confusion with it, come talk to me about it. Sometimes we got to be like that because God is always instructing us, right? Not for us to be fixing it all the time, because some folk don't want you to fix them. Some folk cool being broke. And even if they are broke, they may not even know they're broke, and they don't want you pointing out their flaws. The fastest way to get somebody on your bad side is to tell them something about themselves that they don't think true. Then his Lord, after that he had called him, said unto him, thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt because thou desirest me, or because you asked me. Shouldst not thou have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I have had pity on thee? And his Lord was wroth, and delivered him to the tormentors till he should pay all that was due unto him. Now this is a parable, so don't push this too far, because I don't want you to think, well, if you don't forgive folk, you going to hell and all that. That's not what Jesus was trying to teach that. What Jesus was trying to teach them is that since somebody had pity and mercy on you, then you should be the last person holding somebody up against the fire when they don't owe you half as much as you owe God. That's the whole moral of the story. The whole moral of the story is no matter what folk have done to you, no matter how mad you get, you've done God the same way.
That's it.
You asked God to take care of you, and God is saying, all I'm asking you to do, if I'm letting you out of your debt, is to let folk go.
Let go.
And then on the same token of that, you letting folk go, let you go. Because now you can brush your shoulders off and you can move on from that stuff. And the point of not being able to move on from that shows the immaturity of where you are in that moment. But just because you're immature in the moment doesn't mean you can't get yourself right. That's what God is all about. He's about taking the mirror out and showing you where the flaws are. And what God is saying to all of us, I don't need you pointing out folk flaws. I'm going to point them out. Let me work with folk. And then, because we want folk to forgive us when they feel like we should forgive them. You ought to forgive me right now. What God said, no, because it may take, you may have offended, it may take a minute. But what God's saying is, don't forget the principle. The principle is that I need you to be like me. And so, what did I do for you? I let you go. Why? You should have been dead and on your way to hell because you keep sinning. Matter of fact, your sin nature changed and you still sinning. You see how quiet I got over here? Because Christians don't believe they sin. We know you still doing stuff. And guess what God doing? He's still forgiving you. And it ain't based on how I feel about what you're doing. It's based on how God feel about what you're doing. Because I don't have a heaven and hell to put you in. That's what God was saying here when he started telling them about the wicked servants and everything that he had done for him. What he was saying was, I expected you to catch the principle when I did it for you.
Yes.
I expected you to have compassion.
Yeah.
I expected you to let him go because you prayed and asked me this. That's why he prefaced it by calling him wicked.
Yeah.
Because you gotta be wicked to act like this.
Yes.
When somebody had you dead to rights, you was in the king's presence. The king could have killed you and nobody said nothing.
Right.
And now you want to grab folk and thug them out and throw them around, and they don't want to forgive people for the same exact thing you do. And we got to be careful as the body of Christ, because we do that when folk come out of that world.
Oh, yeah.
We want them to be just like us when they come out of that world. You used to go to the boat and smoke and everything too at that age. Now you want them to come in and be pearly at 21. Well, what was you doing at 21? What was you doing at 51? You know it's a process to get to where you are. You didn't turn out like this overnight. But over time. And guess what God did while you were stumbling and bumbling? He was forgiving. He was blinking at it. He was winking at it. That's what the Bible said in the Old Testament, that God just covered his eyes and some of that stuff. Because God knew the big picture. And because God is like that with us, then the whole principle of the story is, then you ought to be like that too. Let me close on this.
Amen.
Watch what he says. I'm going to go down to 34 and 35. And the Lord was wroth, meaning he was mad. And he delivered him to the tormentors till he should pay all that was due unto him. Now I told you those talents was an unpayable number.
Yeah.
So guess what? He ain't never paid because he couldn't pay it. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not one of his brothers their trespassing. What God is saying, I'm going to throw you in hell because you don't forgive. That's not what he's saying. He's saying, I'm going to allow the same thing that you put out to come right back to you.
Yes, sir.
The same way you choose to deal with people is the same way I'm going to choose to deal with you.
Amen.
So if you feel like you can't let stuff go, don't be foolish when folk don't let you go.
That's right.
When you can't say, oh man, that ain't no big deal, don't worry about it. Don't look surprised when folk don't do that for you. When you cuss folk out for being late and you was waiting on them and all that, don't be surprised when you show up at work 1 minute late and the boss reads you up and down, you ain't never been late before. Because he said the same measure you put out, that's a principle. That's a godly value, a principle. Whatever you put out, he said that's what's going to come back. And I'm going to close with this because it is applicable to this. That's why the value and the law of friendship is the same. You don't have no friends because you ain't friendly.
Yes, sir.
Because the principle is, if you want to have friends, show yourself to be. Right? Everything that you need to learn about our Christian walk, I read this somewhere, I don't know where it is, but everything you needed to know, you learned it in kindergarten, you just forgot. The basic stuff that you need to make it in this world, you learned it in kindergarten.
Amen.
Say yes ma'am, say no ma'am, speak to folk, right? Don't take stuff that don't belong to you, right? Raise your hand if you want to be acknowledged and all that kind of stuff. Don't be a show-off, let folk do. You learned all that in kindergarten. And here we are in our 60s, 70s, in our late time in life, and we still wrestling with that. Cussing folk out is wrong no matter what age you are.
That's right.
No matter what they done, you ain't gonna never get God to high five you on that. What God is gonna always do, and I'm trying to stop, Lord, but what God is gonna always do, he's not gonna say you were right because of what they did to you. That's not how God operates. God gonna judge you on what you do.
Amen.
And he gonna judge them on what they do.
Amen.
So if they cussing and fussing and flipping out, you got to learn how to keep your peace. Knowing that you want to act like that, go. Because I'm gonna let God deal with you. Because when God come to deal with me on it, God gonna say, I seen you kept your peace. I seen you tried to deal with him the right way going on over there. He ain't like my daddy, because my daddy beat everybody. It don't matter who did what. But God's not like that. Because God knows everybody has their separate act. Somebody may have wronged you, then God just gave you the principle on how to deal with it. Right? And we feel justified. God doesn't want us losing our brothers. He doesn't want us losing our spouses. He doesn't want holes in the fellowship because you mad about something. Because as a family, as a kingdom, We only as strong as the weakest link.
Amen.
So if we got somebody that's out of pocket, guess what Satan gonna get in at?
Out of pocket.
Now, if you got a household and everything, all the windows are locked and you leave one open, guess what window they coming in? And you made it easy, and that's what Satan looks for. The Bible says he prowl around looking for folks.
Sir.
Oh, she got attitude. I'm going in with her today. And now you got this aura around you. You snapping and barking at everybody. You got to shake that stuff off.
Right,
And
amen.
you got to learn to look at yourself and say, not me. You ain't using me today. And
Amen.
that's what coming to church will do for you. Coming to church allows you to sit back, woosah, hear from God, so you can see what you need to do, so that you can keep your peace, and so that you can walk with God in peace. Now, the one thing you don't want to do is the very place where you should be hearing about the peace of God and woosahing in the presence of God. You don't want to bring that mess in here, because where else you gonna go?
That's right.
If you can't drop it off here, that's why everybody say, leave it at the altar.
Leave it.
But if the hell is at the altar, then where else are you gonna go?
Yes, sir.
And now you see why folk don't come to church. So forgive in order to be forgiven.
That's right.
Now the principle is there. We've already been forgiven. So now it's on us. God requires us to be the adult in the room wherever we go.
That's right.
Folk can be as wrong as two left shoes. Let God work on that.
Amen.
And we move on and keep our peace, right? Doors of the church is open.
Amen.
You can come by letter, candidate for water baptism. If you just broke fellowship and you